Hey friends, Sean from Draft Therapy here, and on today's review for you, let's hope that this one doesn't turn out to be a brown note. Black Note Stout is an 11.2% stout aged in bourbon barrels from Bell's Brewery in Comstock, Michigan. Welcome to 2023. This is the first video in a new series that I like to call my cellar dive. I haven't really bought too many beers lately. I've been too busy with advent calendars, but I have a bunch, like a heap of older stuff cellared that I think would be pretty interesting to come back and check out again. Some of it I've already talked about, some of it I've already reviewed. Most of these beers are going to be barrel-aged stouts because they just seem to cellar the best. But there will be a few surprises, a few things that oopsies that I've picked up over the years. Some of this stuff is pretty old, so we're going to have to see how old is too old in some cases, and I'll have a really seriously really old surprise beer coming up before the end of the month, and it's going to push what we think of beer expiration dates to its limits. Now, the first beer I want to check out is something that always seems to be limited when it was released, and I do believe that the last time it was released without adjuncts, it was a while ago, 2017, actually, this one. They did a vanilla one, and that's Bell's Black Note. So this Black Note, like I mentioned, is from 2017. I also have one of those vanilla Black Notes from 2019 in the bowels of this cellar somewhere, but honestly, I remember Black Note being one of my favorite early beers when I started reviewing stuff on the channel. I started right around 2017, so this was in that first year. If we get lucky, maybe someday Bell's will re-release it when they're done diluting the brand with their New Belgium Voodoo Ranger clones that they do now, and they've moved those into the Hearted series, but that's a discussion for another time. Let's just stick to what we're here for in the here and now. We're going to go to the Can brought to you by Arby's to look at the label. At Arby's, we have the meats. Let's take a look at the label here, and I'm going to show you this one. I have another one, actually, another bottle of this. So on the front here, this is one of my favorite all-time Bell's labels. It is a record, a vinyl record in the background with this blue light on it, and it fades into the black. It says Black Note Stout 2017. This is a stout aged in bourbon barrels, brewed and bottled by Bell's Brewery Incorporated in Comstock, Michigan. If we turn it around to the back here, as you can see, hopefully got it all in the picture there, it says Bell's Black Note is a malty harmony of dark chocolate, espresso, and dried fruit notes aged in freshly retired oak bourbon barrels. Aimed squarely at stout aficionados, Black Note makes a grand statement about the art of the dark. As you can see on the bottom here, it says shelf life unlimited, somewhere down here. And it tells us that this is 11.2% alcohol by volume, and this was packaged on October 5th, 2017. So we're looking at five years and some months aged, not a whole 6 years. Should have waited till October to do this cellar dive, huh? So let's go ahead and grab our glass, and we're gonna crack this. Oh, one other thing I wanted to point out, the bottle cap on this is really cool. It's a record. It has that same kind of black and blue motif that the front of the bottle has. Let's go ahead and crack this. I have a bit of a cold, so hopefully my sniffer's holding up, but you kind of got to expect that's going to happen in January, right? All right, let's put a nose on the bottle here. Big malty, what am I talking about? Big bourbon notes coming out of there, but it does have a really nice dark chocolate vibe going on there too. Let's go ahead and pour this. And it comes super dark out of the bottle here. I'm just going to pour a little bit more in here and try to churn up a little bit of a head. I was watching the craft beer channel, and they were saying how we were pouring these all wrong. We got to leave some room for the head here, but you know, I like to see all the foam and whatnot. So let's put the bottle over here so you can see that. All right. So we didn't really get much head on this. I didn't dump the whole thing. There's a tiny bit about amount in the bottle still. I mean, you can't even measure this. It looks like there's more than there actually is. If you look at the top, there is no head to speak of. There's a little bit of particulate, it looks like, or maybe just some random bubbles floating in there. If we hold it up here to the light, as you can see, that is super dark. It looks just as dark to you as it does to me. The light is not, let me hold it up here. That is not even penetrating this glass. Like, I can see my reflection on the back, the lights in the back, before I can see through this at all. So let's put a nose on the glass. Lots of bourbon notes, but what I was getting more bourbon out of the neck of the bottle, I'm getting like so much chocolate with a little bit of bourbon. That this smells like they said a bourbon, or I'm sorry, a stout aficionados kind of beer. Let's go and I'm ready. I'm just dying to check this out. We're going to talk about the mouthfeel first, just to give you a heads up. Cheers. Wow. I am so tempted to talk about the flavor first. So the mouthfeel is this super thick, really like borderline syrupy thickness, really nice, and it's just got that nice tongue coating feel to it. It has, like I said, almost borderline syrup. That's how thick this is. Let's talk about the flavor. There's a lot of stuff going on here, so let's try and step this through. So really on the upfront, what I get, actually it's throughout the entire taste. You get, like, at the upfront, there is the bourbon that comes through. It has this boozy kind of bourbon bite to it, a little bit of a sweet molasses bourbon taste. But then when this starts to go down, it's that bourbon kind of morphs into this bit of a sweeter chocolate, which then morphs into this really dark, roasty, bitter chocolate flavor that comes through. And on the finish, the bourbon kind of like wraps back around, and you start to get a little bit more of that bourbon note that pierces through that really deep, rich chocolate, fudgy, just dark, bitter chocolate flavor. I think as the bourbon kind of transitions to that little bit of that chocolate flavor, a small dark fruit kind of flavor comes through. I'm going to dump the rest of this bottle. I let this sit out for a while. It was in my fridge. This was in my fridge, which is a little too cool for my taste for beer for the most part. So I'm really interested to see what the temp is on this one. Just, to go through all the paces here. I dropped my little pack here. So let's put this here. So we're looking to be about between like 50 and 55. That's generally the temperature that you want to hit your stouts on. And it's slowing down here. We are just above 50 degrees. We're looking at, yeah, it hasn't budged. We are actually, when I stopped it here and it was slowing down, I don't know if you're going to be able to see that, but that's 50 degrees even. So that's exactly, I like them on a little bit of the colder side. I generally drink my beer a little bit on the colder side. Wow. Like I said, I have 2 more bottles of this, actually. I just looked because I wanted to be able to read the label to you while I read it on the back. Still trying to figure out this whole new camera setup I'm doing. But I really want to hold this for a little bit longer. As this is warming just a hair, like it's breathing, it's opening up a little bit. There's another, even after that second bourbon wave, there is another kind of chocolatey dark wave that comes through. Can't stop drinking this stuff. It's a quality beer through and through. I'm really glad I held on to this one. We're going to see later in this series. This is the first one I'm even recording. But I have a feeling that later as we go into the series, we're going to see how these maybe don't hold up so well, but I feel like this one's still holding up pretty well. You're still getting a lot of that bourbon, a lot of that chocolate, a lot of the sweet chocolate, the dark chocolate, the bourbon note sticks around. Sometimes coffee and beer and these kind of beers, and I will have a coffee one that's coming up, you kind of lose the flavor on the coffee, but we'll see where that takes us, and we'll see what comes up next. All right, friends, that's been a revisit to Bell's 2017 Black Note. Do you have fond memories of this beer? Were you able to get it back in the day? Do you still have any bottles of this sitting around? And what's the oldest beer that you have in your possession that could still possibly be good? Let me know in the comments down below while you're down there. If you like beer, you might want to subscribe and click that bell because I'm here talking about beer twice a week. It's Tuesdays and Thursdays. We do all types of different stuff. You might miss your newest favorite if you're not subscribed and getting those notifications. We're going to be doing more cellar beers. I mean, you don't want to miss that. So until next time, I'm Sean from Draft Therapy. Thanks for stopping by. Remember, drink craft beer, support your local breweries wherever they are, and most importantly, don't forget to treat yourself to a little draft therapy. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time on the next installment of the Cellar Dive. Cheers.